In sports, everyone likes to root for the underdog. This is a proven psychological phenomenon, as the human mind prefers the weaker side to win in order to have more drama in that particular sporting event. This applies, of course, to cases when you're not a fan of the favourite in the match. On the other hand, the successful stories of the underdogs are remembered forever. And today, we'll turn our attention to the most memorable ones in the Champions League. Sit back and enjoy. Leicester City, 2016-17. Everyone associates Leicester with one of the most beautiful, fascinating and memorable underdog stories in history, but more so in the Premier League when they stormed to the title in 2015-16. The following season, however, was another memorable one for the Foxes, who maintained their high standards and played in the Champions League for the first time. Everyone expected them to struggle to transfer their Premier League form to the most prestigious club competition, but they did, once again under the guidance of the most successful coach, Claudio Ranieri, who sadly retired at the end of this season. It must be said, however, that they were fortunate to be drawn in a not very strong group with Porto, Copenhagen and Club Brugge. And as champions of the best league in the world, Leicester performed superbly, finishing top with 13 points, winning 4 of their 6 group matches. In the round of 16, Leicester got the better of Sevilla, beating them 3-2 on aggregate. In the quarter-finals, however, Atletico Madrid proved to be a formidable opponent, although Leicester had their chances and narrowly lost 2-1. Still, Leicester were the pride of England in those 12 months, first winning the Premier League and then going the furthest of all the Prem teams to the Champions League. Truly a glorious period for the underdog lovers. Monaco, 2016-17. Yes, 2016-17 was littered with memorable moments from great underdog teams, and aside from Leicester, Monaco were definitely one of them as well. However, the French club's performance was even more impressive and in some ways more unexpected for football fans. However, Monaco were one of the best star-studded teams in that edition of the Champions League, boasting a host of young and promising talents as well as some established players. Just look at these names: Fabinho, Bernardo Silva, Thomas Lemar, João Moutinho, Radamel Falcao, Benjamin Mendy, and of course the biggest of them all, Kylian Mbappe. This was the season when Mbappe's name was heard more and more, and people started to take an interest in his style of play. In his stellar first season in 2016-17 alone, Kylian scored 6 goals in his 9 Champions League appearances, including 2 against Man City in the round of 16, 2 against Borussia Dortmund in the quarter-finals, and his team's only goal in the semi-final against Juventus. Yes, there's been many underdog moments for football fans over the past 10 years, but 2016-17 will go down as one of the most memorable. Now, before we move on, we encourage you to subscribe to the Blue Card channel for more similar content. Thank you. Villarreal, 2021-22. Next up, we have the Spanish sensation from 2021-22, Villarreal. Unai Emery is renowned for his incredible record in knockout competitions as a manager, winning the Europa League on several occasions, but taking Villarreal to the Champions League semi-finals is certainly one of his finest achievements. The Spanish club had beaten Manchester United in the Europa League the previous season and followed that up with a fantastic Champions League campaign, knocking out Italian and German giants Juventus and Bayern Munich respectively, before falling to Klopp's Liverpool in the semi-final. Despite the defeat to Liverpool, however, Villarreal indeed made the impossible, becoming one of the most memorable underdog stories ever. Yes, Unai Emery's side was indeed a very decent team, but there was little to suggest that they could go that far, let alone eliminating 2 clubs who had a total of 20 Champions League finals under their belt. The most notable names from that Villarreal squad were Pau Torres, Giovanni Lo Celso, Dani Parejo, Raul Albiol, and the 2 sidemen Samu Chukwueze and Arnaut Danjuma. Apoel Nicosia, 2011-12. For the next example, we go back 10 years to the 2011-12 season. That Champions League campaign will be remembered for Chelsea's historic first trophy, the dramatic elimination of Barcelona in the semi-finals and the subsequent victory over Bayern Munich in their own backyard. But it was also a season to remember for the most successful team in Cyprus, Hapoel Nicosia. For a club of their size, simply reaching the group stage of the Champions League is a major achievement. But 12 years ago, the Cypriots did even better, reaching the quarter-finals where they met European giants and record Champions League winners Real Madrid. They were easily beaten, but they had something to be proud of, scoring twice at the Santiago Bernabeu and taking on one of the biggest clubs in the world in a match of this magnitude. And they did it after going through 3 rounds of qualifying, topping their group and knocking out Olympique Lyon in the round of 16. Roma 2017-18. And mentioning one of the most nightmarish periods in Barca's recent history, the dramatic defeat to Chelsea in 2012 brings us to a team that caused them even greater problems, Roma, in the 2017-18 season. Yes, Barcelona had won the Champions League just 3 years earlier, and their fans were hungry for more, but it was the inspiring underdog story that was the beginning of the Catalans' downfall. The first leg of the quarter-final ended in a convincing 4-1 victory for Barca at the Camp Nou, and no one could have imagined what was waiting them at the Stadio Olimpico. First half goal from Edin Dzeko, and then Daniel De Rossi and Kostas Manolas sealed the deal for Roma, who qualified for their second ever Champions League semi-final and first in 34 years. Yes, that great game against Barcelona immediately went down in Roma's history books as they did the impossible against the likes of Messi, Suarez and Iniesta. However, the glory of their season was not confined to the Barcelona victory. They finished top of a group that included Atletico Madrid and Chelsea, losing just once in the process. Surely a campaign that enters the underdog tax. Malaga 2012-13. Now, how would you feel if your favourite team had one single Champions League campaign in their history and finished amongst the top 8 teams in Europe in it? That's a remarkable feat, and Malaga did it in 2012-13, making some of the most memorable runs in the competition. The start was put in the playoff rounds, where they beat Greece's Panathinaikos, and they were drawn in a group with Milan, Zenit and Anderlecht. For Malaga, the very fact that they finished top of the group earning 4 points from 6 against 7-time trophy winner Milan was an incredible achievement, but they weren't going to stop there. In the round of 16, Malaga won against the traditionally strong performing Porto by an aggregate score of 2-1, making their run all the more magical. Their tale could have gone even further once Malaga held their fate in their own hands in the quarter-final against Borussia Dortmund, leading 2-1 up until the 82nd minute. 2 goals in added time, however, shattered Malaga's dreams of the sensational semi-final in their debut Champions League campaign, which would have been absolutely remarkable. They also had some very iconic names in their starting 11, such as Martin Demichelis, Jeremy Toulalan, Joaquin, and of course Isco, who just started his professional career with Malaga. Ajax 2018-19. The 2018-19 UEFA Champions League campaign was a very intense one, with many thrilling ties. This included Liverpool's famous comeback against Barcelona and Spurs' win over Man City. However, it was Ajax who stole the show back then, despite losing to Tottenham in the semis. In the group stage, Ajax were drawn alongside Bayern Munich, AEK Athens and Benfica. Ajax beat Bayern Munich not once, but twice. That achievement in itself is admirable. But what they did next was even more astonishing. Ajax lost their first round of 16 match against Real Madrid. The Dutch Giants didn't give up and turned the tables on Real Madrid, beating them 4-1 in the second league at the Santiago Bernabeu with that famous performance from Dusan Tadic. The Dutch dream was already a reality, but Ajax did the impossible and added another big win to their tally. They then went on to beat Juventus 3-2 on aggregate in the quarter-finals. Unfortunately, the iconic run of Erik ten Hag and his boys came to an end when Tottenham's Lucas Moura scored a memorable hat-trick to end their hopes of reaching a grand finale. Olympique Lyon 2019-20. And we end with an underdog from one of the strangest seasons in modern football, 2019 to 20, when the world was brought to a halt by the COVID-19 pandemic. Like everything else, our favourite tournament was suspended indefinitely, with almost all of the knockout stages played within a month, in August 2020, when the pandemic had calmed down. Hans Flick's Bayern Munich went on to win the trophy after beating PSG, but the final could have been all French if Olympique Lyon had knocked the Germans out in the semi-finals. Although they lost 3-0, Lyon showed a lot of promise and deserve a place on our list. They did well in the group stage, finishing second. From there, Lyon took advantage of the away goals rule to knock out Juventus in the round of 16 and sensationally beat Man City 3-1 in a game that will be remembered for that miss by Raheem Sterling in the quarter-finals. And while a 3-0 thrashing at the hands of Bayern sounds like a truly devastating result, it could have been different had Memphis Depay scored early in the first half in a one-on-one with Manuel Neuer. Still, Lyon made a memorable run, and it was the best season French football has had in the competition in the 21st century, with one team reaching the final and another the semi-finals. And that brings us to the end of today's video. What other sensational underdog runs can you think of? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out some of our latest uploads. Now, as always, stay awesome and see you next time.